People keep saying Russia attacked Ukraine because NATO expanded. That explanation sounds reasonable if you start history in the 1990s. It collapses the moment you step back and look at what Russia has done for centuries. Ukraine is not an exception. Georgia was not an exception. Chechnya was not an exception. Moldova is not an exception. What we are seeing is not a reaction to NATO. It is the continuation of a long imperial behavior that goes back to Muscovy. Russia did not emerge as a normal state with neighbors it learned to live beside. It emerged as a center that absorbed or eliminated alternatives. From medieval Muscovy onward, Russian expansion was not about coexistence. It was about absorption. When Moscow expanded, it did not tolerate rival political systems nearby. Novgorod was destroyed because it represented a different way of organizing power. Other principalities disappeared for the same reason. Difference itself was seen as destabilizing. This mentality survived the Tsars. It survived the Soviet Union. And it survived the collapse of the USSR. The Soviet system did not break with Russian imperial logic. It refined it. Borders existed on paper, but power was centralized. Security services, courts, media, and the economy answered upward. Where needed, populations were moved. Where mass deportation was not practical, demographics were reshaped through industrialization and migration. Russian-speaking elites were installed. Loyalty followed opportunity. That is how places like Transnistria were created. That is how frozen conflicts became tools. Not accidents. Tools. So when Russia says it feels threatened by NATO, listen carefully. Russia does not feel threatened by military bases alone. It feels threatened by independence next door. Georgia was attacked when it tried to leave Moscow's orbit. Ukraine was attacked when its independence became irreversible. The Baltic states are threatened rhetorically because they exist outside Russian control, not because they host NATO troops. If NATO were the real cause, Russia's actions would have reduced NATO's influence. Instead, Russia expanded it. Finland joined, Sweden joined, European opinion hardened. That is not defensive behavior. That is imperial instinct colliding with modern reality. Russia's neighbors understand this better than Western commentators because they remember. They remember borders being temporary. They remember sovereignty being conditional. They remember what happens when Moscow decides a neighbor has drifted too far. This is why countries rush toward the European Union and NATO when given the chance. Not out of hostility, out of experience. The tragedy is that Russia could have chosen another path. It has the resources, the culture, the geography to be a bridge between Europe and Asia. But imperial reflexes turn potential into permanent insecurity. You cannot reassure an empire that sees independence next door as loss. You can only deter it. So no, Ukraine was not invaded because NATO expanded. Ukraine was invaded because Ukraine exists. If you found this analysis useful, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and visit westernrelations.com for deeper political analysis of the Western world. Thank you for watching.